that very soon we will all see the building of the third temple in Jerusalem.
The table of showbread is ready. The menorah is ready. All of the golden pieces are ready. The third temple is ready.
Something extraordinary is about to happen in Jerusalem right now. Something that could ripple far beyond the city's ancient walls. Red heifers imported from Texas, rumors of ritual sacrifices on the Mount of Olives, and rising tensions surrounding the Al-Aqsa Mosque have created a volatile atmosphere.
They're also planning to slaughter 5 red cows. That paves the way for the building of the third temple, replacing the Dome of the Rock.
As sacred prophecies clash with modern politics, many fear what might come next. Is this the spark that ignites something far greater? Buckle up as we unravel the shocking truth. The Red Heifer Project, a prophetic spark in the heart of Jerusalem.
Here in Shiloh, first time after 2,000 years, we have real kosher red heifers.
Hidden in the hills of Israel's West Bank, behind tightly secured fences and ancient stones, a herd of seemingly ordinary cattle is stirring spiritual fervor and international unrest. Among them, young red heifers, flown over 7,000 miles from Texas, have become the unlikely focus of a religious movement as old as Jerusalem itself.
Well, 3 years ago, the arrival of 5 red heifers in Israel attracted global attention.
Bred and nurtured under intense scrutiny, these reddish calves are believed by a growing number of Jews and Christians to hold the key to rebuilding the long-lost Jewish temple, destroyed nearly 2,000 years ago by Roman legions. Their ashes, according to the Book of Numbers, must be used to purify those who will serve in the temple, making these animals not just rare, but crucial to prophecy. Carefully transported from the heart of Texas to the dust-covered plains of Israel's south, these red heifers were selected for their flawless appearance. No blemish, no broken hair, and no yoke ever placed upon them. Yet this is far from a local agricultural initiative. Behind the operation stands the Temple Institute, a religious group headquartered in Jerusalem that has spent decades reconstructing temple artifacts and mapping out the architecture for a third temple. Their goal is not symbolic, it is literal. And according to them, the heifers are the last remaining piece needed to turn ancient scripture into physical reality. But this vision does not come without resistance. In a recent and startling speech, a Hamas spokesman linked the infamous October 7, 2023, attacks on Israel to what he described as Jewish efforts to bring red cows to the Holy Land. It was a motive that shocked many, pointing to how even a cow, sacred to one group, provocative to another, could ignite a regional firestorm. For Hamas, the Red Heifer Project wasn't just a religious ritual. It was seen as a direct threat to one of Islam's holiest sites, the Dome of the Rock, which now stands on the historic Temple Mount. That golden shrine and its neighbor, the Al-Aqsa Mosque, are revered by Muslims around the world. Even whispers of rebuilding the Jewish temple on this contested ground have already triggered violent reactions, political outrage, and international alarm. While Israeli officials have distanced themselves from these activist-led efforts, that hasn't stopped a growing number of religious believers from pressing ahead. On the Mount of Olives, a massive altar has already been prepared, aligned perfectly to where the ancient temple once stood. And just below it, onlookers and tour groups gather to pray, some whispering of the temple's return, others stating openly that they believe the Islamic sites will soon be removed to make way for it. Beyond Jerusalem, the red heifer has even made its way to Capitol Hill, showcased at evangelical gatherings in Washington, D.C., where it's hailed as a symbol of Christ's imminent return. For many Christians, the red color isn't just scriptural, it signifies the blood of Jesus, the final sacrifice. But what drives believers to rebuild ancient altars and whisper of sacred removals in plain sight? Stay glued to your screen. The red heifer and the vault beneath Jerusalem. As tensions climb and voices clash over one of the most contested pieces of land on earth, a man steps forward, offering a bold solution. One rooted not in politics or power, but in ancient faith and buried stone. The question is, can such a solution be accepted by those whose beliefs have clashed for centuries? A few years ago, in Israel, a calf named Melody was born. Her appearance was ordinary to most, but her deep red coloring, pure and unblemished from nose to tail, sparked global intrigue. Jewish rabbis, evangelical pastors, Even journalists from CNN turned their gaze toward her. Why? Because to those who closely study religious prophecy, Melody wasn't just a cow. She was a possible omen. According to the Torah, the ashes of a flawless red heifer are the only means of purifying those who wish to enter sacred ground. Without this ritual, the rebuilding of the Jewish temple on the Temple Mount, prophesied in both Jewish and Christian texts to signal the end times, remains impossible. And no such red heifer had been seen for more than 2,000 years, until Melody. But even if purification were achieved, another challenge looms. Something already occupies the Temple Mount. For Muslims, this very ground is sacred too. It's believed to be the place from which the Prophet Muhammad ascended to heaven. The Dome of the Rock and Al-Aqsa Mosque are nestled atop this site, making it Islam's third holiest place. So here lies the dilemma. The most sacred place in Judaism is also a revered sanctuary in Islam. And that's where history becomes heartbreak. Over the centuries, this contested patch of earth has seen blood spilled by Jews, Babylonians, Romans, Muslims, and Crusaders, all seeking control. Even today, the soil remains stained with conflict. In this fragile balance, archaeologists tread carefully, both literally and diplomatically. Enter Dan Bahat, a seasoned Israeli archaeologist. He doesn't excavate beneath the dome itself, but rather around its edges. One tunnel, he leads visitors through Higgs, the western wall. Inside an enormous stone, the largest ever discovered in Israel, weighing over 600 metric tons, rests in silence. Bahat believes beyond this wall lies a mysterious underground vault, possibly dating back to the Second Temple period, which once housed treasures like the Ark of the Covenant. But breaching this wall, even in the name of discovery, could spark more than outrage. It could trigger violence. In 1996, an exit was opened from one of these tunnels. Though it didn't pass beneath the dome, suspicion ignited rage. Misinformation quickly spread that the tunnels extended beneath the sacred mosque. Riots erupted. The violence left 15 Israeli soldiers and more than 70 Palestinians dead, all over a doorway. In Jerusalem, even stone stirs blood. And yet amidst this tension, a man named Tuvia offers a different path. A historian with an unorthodox idea, he suggests that archaeology might not just reveal the past, it might chart a way forward. His theory claims that the first and second temples might have stood not directly where the Dome of the Rock sits, but slightly to the side. If true, his proposal could mean that both a rebuilt Jewish temple and the Muslim shrines could exist side by side, each in peace. The implications are profound. If accepted, Tuvia's theory could redraw centuries of division. But as he shared his findings, some dismissed it instantly. "It's too good," they scoffed. "We want war. We want bombing. You're trying to solve something that must remain unsolved." Despite the skepticism, Tuvia remains hopeful. He imagines a world where Jews and Muslims can stand not at odds, but shoulder to shoulder. "You can't bring peace to the Middle East," he says, "without resolving what lies beneath the Temple Mount." For him, this isn't just an archaeological puzzle, it's the heart of the conflict. In this sacred city where belief runs deeper than the bedrock, where every layer of soil tells a story of conquest and conviction, the fate of peace may very well lie buried, just inches beyond the reach of a trowel. But what if the key to peace lies buried beneath the Temple Mount? Stay tuned to uncover the mystery, the hidden temple beneath the trees. As the search for the true location of Solomon's temple continues, one theory challenges the long-held belief that the Dome of the Rock sits atop its ruins. Architect Tuvia Sagi, who has spent years studying the Temple Mount, believes the Jewish temple never stood beneath the Golden Dome, but rather somewhere else on the sacred grounds. His theory, built on a mix of architectural analysis, water engineering, and infrared imagery, points to a remarkable conclusion that redefines how we view this holy site. Sagiv's research began with the problem of water supply for the temple, essential for the purification rituals that followed animal sacrifices. Archaeologists believe they found the ancient aqueducts, but these water channels sit 20 meters lower than the Dome of the Rock. Water, of course, cannot flow uphill. This raised a critical question. If the temple was located under the dome, how could the aqueducts have provided water to the temple court? The answer led Sagiv to propose that the temple must have been situated at a lower elevation. Building on the idea that holy sites across civilizations are often constructed on top of one another, Sagiv pointed to the history of the Temple Mount. After the Romans destroyed the Jewish temple in 70 CE, they constructed a pagan temple in its place. This Roman temple, Sagiv suggests, may have been modeled after the Temple of Jupiter in Baalbek, Lebanon, with the same architect behind both structures. When comparing the layouts of the two, Sagiv found striking similarities, hinting that the Dome of the Rock in the Al-Aqsa Mosque may have been built on the ruins of the Roman temple, not over the Jewish one. However, it wasn't until Sagiv examined infrared aerial images captured by Israeli police that his theory took an extraordinary turn. When viewed at night, after the land had absorbed the sun's heat, the images revealed straight lines under the trees of the Temple Mount, matching the dimensions of the ancient temple's walls. The layout is perfectly aligned with the known width of the temple's structure, suggesting that the temple once stood there, not under the Dome of the Rock. What's more, this revelation means that the Western Wall, long considered a remnant of the Jewish temple, actually faces the exact spot where the Holy of Holies may have stood. Only a wall and a grove of trees separate the two, the fault line beneath the dome. What was once envisioned as a harmonious solution, a sacred trifecta where Muslims would keep the Dome of the Rock, Jews would rebuild their temple, and Christians could worship freely at both sites, was now revealing deep cracks beneath its surface. The beauty of the idea began to collapse under its own weight when it became clear that, in order to implement it, the Western Wall, the holiest site in Judaism, would have to be dismantled. According to Sagiv, the wall held no spiritual significance on its own. The true sanctity, he insisted, lay in the space behind it, where the ancient temple once stood. Smash the wall, he had said, not with contempt, but with conviction. To him, removing it wasn't an act of destruction, but a necessary step toward truth. Yet for countless Jews, that wall was not just stone, it was memory, devotion, and identity. Generations had prayed at its base, believing it to be the last remnant of divine presence. As the gravity of Sagiv's plan came into focus, others began to voice their disapproval. Gerson Solomon, a staunch Jewish activist, and Adnan Husseini, a respected Muslim leader, found themselves in rare agreement. Both opposed the proposal, though for very different reasons. They shared only three beliefs. The land beneath the Dome of the Rock is sacred, it cannot be shared, and Sagiv's plan would never be accepted. To Husseini, the very idea of Jews worshiping below while Muslims remained above was not only unthinkable, it was a violation. This place is built on solid rock, he warned. Excavating beneath it isn't respectful. It's desecration. His concern was not rooted in politics, but in the deep fear of irreversible damage, both physical and spiritual. Solomon, on the other hand, believed that the dome itself should never have stood there to begin with. Only the temple can exist here, he declared. One house of God, not two. Yet even he acknowledged the risks involved in challenging such a delicate balance. One wrong move and the region could ignite in chaos. As tensions simmered, a consensus quietly formed. No one supported Sagiv's vision anymore, not because it lacked hope, but because the cost of that hope was too steep. And without warning, the conversation turned to melody. The pure red heifer believed to signal a prophetic new age. For over a year, rabbis observed her closely, but at just 18 months old, she developed a single white hair on her tail. That one blemish was enough to pause a prophecy and momentarily delay what some believed would be the end of days. But what do you think? Can sacred divisions be bridged by dismantling history? Or is the price of unity too steep? We'd like to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.